What's up, Zox fam? Now, there is a lot that is going on in relevance to Wuthering Waves on Twitter, and you're probably wondering what exactly is happening. Well, there is a CN NDA beta that has been taking place, and of course, per usual, if you're familiar and you're from the Genshin Impact community or the Honkai Star Rail community, somebody went and they leaked a lot of the assets from the current NDA beta that they are having. Now, the thing is there's a lot that I want to talk about with this, but the first thing I want to state is that I will not be showing, and I will be talking about this stuff very carefully, but I will not be showing any of the things that were leaked because, again, for all you guys that are content creators, this can get you in trouble. Now, I think there were some people that already have seen some things happen that were posting some of these images in the official Discord. So I wanted to take the time, at least with the very beginning of this video, because I actually do care about you guys, make sure you are not posting these things on their official platforms. And again, guys, I will say try your best to stay away from these leaks. The unfortunate thing though about Twitter is like when you are actually like looking up or you have a lot of content coming in from a specific thing, like if I type in Wuthering Waves, the leaks are going to show. So again, this is just a forewarning for those of you guys that do not want to partake in that. You might want to stay off of Twitter. Now, I do still want to have a discussion about these things though, because I think it is very important as we push forward. And even just from my knowledge, seeing what has happened in other games, what could potentially happen moving forward. And considering that I was able to participate in CBT1, kind of giving my thoughts and opinions on some of the things that people are saying, right? Now, I want to make it very apparent that I think it's important to take leaks with a grain of salt because the company is subject to change some of these things, a lot of these things. For what we think is going to be the case of something, they could very well change these things. Now, there's a reason why they're having an NDA closed beta test to begin with, because these are things that they probably wanted to present and get thoughts and opinions before it was publicly released for people generally to see and kind of construct or formulate criticisms. Now, of course, now that those criticisms are already being constructed, there's already a lot of talk about the character changes and things of that nature. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but if you know, you know, right? And I think one of the biggest things, guys, is understanding this. One, things are going to be constantly revamped, changed. And that's kind of the expectation I was at least thinking of when, you know, we're talking about them constantly fixing up the game, trying to make the game better, taking the feedback that they got from CBT1. Now, I've seen a lot of people that are actually upset with a lot of the character changes, you know, things that they've gone and they have structurally made different, right? And I will say this, guys, hold on to your thoughts when they officially publicly release some of this stuff, okay? I think it's a really bad idea, and sometimes a lot of these things that get leaked end up leading to misinformation, where players end up formulating these harsh and very, very strong opinions about something, and then come to find out that was just something that they were trying to test out, or we're just seeing if people would find it appealing, but wasn't necessarily going to be the 100% concrete thing they were going to be implementing into the game. Now, I feel like with my due diligence as being one of the creators that's going to be creating in this community, I really want to create a space where players really are able to, you know, have their opinions heard. But I also think it is safe to say too, we got to give the company a chance to really cook up a good project, right? And I think that, again, we have to be very mindful of how we're exactly presenting or, you know, really honestly pushing certain narratives, especially when this is off of something like a closed beta with a signed NDA attached to it. I can see if this was an open beta and it was just generally open to the public, but there's a reason why everything happens and they do certain things in that manner. Now, again, I'm very much so always a person that particularly will stick up for the community over everything. That is always my go-to. But I also will say, because we don't have Wuthering Waves yet, and I really want to see this game be successful, I think for all of us, the best thing we can do, like I said, yeah, if you're seeing these leaks, whatever, you know, you take it. If you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. take it as a grain of salt, like I mentioned, because this really is a period for a lot of potential adjustments and changes to come. And until the next official closed beta or open closed beta comes, I really don't personally want to formulate any opinions that aren't necessarily, again, going to be maybe set in stone, or really honestly, even with the closed betas, those things are still subject to change. Now, of course, again, this is not invalidating how people currently feel with the stuff that they have seen, but this is also, again, presenting that issue of why and as to why leaks usually aren't that good, because it's already creating this chaos for something that we probably shouldn't even have seen yet. And again, it's going to be those individuals that argue, well, it's good that we were able to see this ahead of time, but this is also one of the things that you don't realize underlying could potentially cause rifts in the game. And it's already starting to formulate what I'm already seeing is people saying, well, see, this is why I'm glad I'm not playing anyway, or I'm not going to play because this is changing, and I want to say this, guys, throw that out. Okay. None of that is relevant, okay? I just want to make that an apparent to say. Every single game that has come out that is doing well, including, I mean, granted, Genshin Impact, we already know how that is. I mean, that just is what it is. But for those that enjoy it, you enjoy it. But that game constantly gets crap talk. But no different than with Honkai Star Rail. You guys would not believe all of the things leading up to the release of Honkai Star Rail. There was nothing but dumpster posting, doom posting, like all of that stuff about the game. Game's gonna die. It's not gonna do well. It's not gonna do this. The game's horrible. This isn't gonna happen. Character design sucks. Combat sucks. And you see that this is one of the games that is causing things to track and trend on Twitter. And they're giving them a free 5-star Dr. Ratio, and they're having this amazing update right now. That's one of those games that was essentially having those things happen in the very beginning. So I will say, guys, if you are finding interest in Wuthering Waves, do not allow anyone to sway that just because of a character change. I get it. Those things do matter, but these are also things that are not set in stone either. So I think once we actually get information that is set in stone, having more of a solidified opinion makes more sense, because again, we have this thing within our regions and just in different markets where we kill off games for no absolute reason, when honestly, if we find a game that we enjoy and it's a company that honestly generally, like, let's mention PGR is a good company and they make amazing characters, and I think it's one of those things where they're trying to gauge and see who their target audience is going to be and what their target audience really wants to see from them. So again, I'm going to be giving them the chance to be able to really cook up some heat, and I really think that you guys should too. Now, I'm not saying, because I ain't really nobody that important, that you got to listen to me, but I really do think that it is worthwhile really taking the time to reassess and think and just kind of shut out the noise when it comes down to these things, because I don't think that these are going to be things that drastically are going to ruin the game. Now, I will say, I mean, I'm going to mention an experience, for example, that I had with like Zenless Zone Zero. So I did beta test Zenless Zone Zero, and it really wasn't necessarily the best. Am I still hyped for the game? Absolutely. But there just wasn't enough game for me to feel like it was a finalized or finished product, which I feel like is a very level-headed and, a very fair, response or kind of like a reaction to what I was able to test. Now, with that being the case, I think it's important to also note that they are receiving and taking in this feedback so they can very well go and change those things. And so it's the same thing with Zenless Zone Zero. I didn't really want to take the time to say like, oh, this game's going to be trash. It's not going to be anything, because they could very well take all that feedback that they're getting, whether it be good or bad, even if it is more negative, but really taking that feedback to add more to the game and make it more expansive. That is something that can be done here. Again, I feel like on the note of what players are feeling with these character designs, I gotta say, guys, that is very subject to, I guess, personal opinions. And I guess that is kind of subject to a personal opinion, right? But I will say, again, let's wait. Let's chill out. And of course, to my other CCs, guys, be very, very careful with making any videos, because I'm almost certain that Wuthering Waves will go after people. Okay, I'm almost certain you have a high probability of getting clapped, and I've seen a lot of creator friends, a lot of people within the space get clapped because they started actually showing these things, and again, promoting these things on their platforms, or really honestly going into the Discord and showing these things as well. Because again, you can get booted, like I mentioned earlier in the video, for those things. Now, the other thing is too, guys, is creating a relationship with Kiro where we're able to actually have a situation where they want to connect with us, they want to share information with us. And I feel like a lot of these things, like, I get it, we really are hungry for news and information, but they've been feeding us certain things just to kind of let us know some of the directions, showing us some things here and there, because I also feel like they truly don't have anything finalized just yet for what they really want to present to the world. So I think it's, again, one of those things where we're kind of starting to see individuals getting ahead of themselves with pushing this information out, and it's not finalized information. Like that's the part that's really going to put a damper on a lot of stuff, is because people don't think about that. They're going to see this information and they're going to run with it as it's the holy grail, and then they're going to go and tell other players that, wait, Wuthering Waves is doing this, that ain't good, and it becomes a further, much bigger issue further down the line. And even in some cases, that causes the companies to not want to really engage on that level, or to really honestly shut themselves off entirely when it comes down to kind of engaging to keep that hype up, right? So again, for me personally, guys, I just feel like this is something that you just, like I said in the beginning, take it with a grain of salt. But nonetheless, leaks are going to happen. They happen in every single community, but I felt like it was definitely worthwhile for me to make this video, just again, for those of you guys that are not trying to lose hype on the game, because I don't want that to take away from that, right? Again, I will say, take these things for what it is, but don't lose hype on the game, because I do still think Wuthering Waves is going to be amazing. But I'm always open to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions, because I don't know everything. And of course, my opinion isn't always necessarily the right opinion. And I'm always open to have that open dialogue with you guys. So that's basically going to be that. I hope you guys have an amazing new year. Stay safe out there, and definitely stay off of Twitter if you can. So that's going to be that, guys. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.